Hello, I'm Dr. Ron Eaglin, and today I'm going to cover a little bit of AJAX. A little bit of AJAX, and I want to show you how to use a tab panel and a little methodology I use for using AJAX tab panels. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring my toolbox over here so you can see it. You can see that I've actually got in my toolbox the AJAX Toolkit 3.5. Now that would normally be here. What you would have to do is you have to first get the AJAX Toolkit, which is available online. I'm using 3.5, .NET 3.5 for my application development in this specific case, even though I could use 4.0. So I needed to use the AJAX Toolkit for 3.5. Now here's a few little things that you probably don't know about this nice little toolbox. Is it's pretty customizable. If I right click on anything in here and I say, let's say, choose items, that's going to bring up the list of all the toolbox items that you've got available to you. Now, if you wanted to get the .NET components or the AJAX components, what you really have to do is you have to find the DLL that contains those components. So you can actually go into here, and if you know where you've got the toolkit, I put the toolkit, I downloaded it, put it in the directory, and put it where I could get to it. And in this case, I have it in the bin directory here. And I were to click on the AJAX Control Toolkit here, AJAX Control Toolkit, it would go ahead and open up the full toolkit and all the tools that are in it, and it would actually come back to this page with all those tools highlighted, which is really nice because then I can add all those tools into a specific tab. Now, you can also make a tab by using the Add tab. So your toolbox is customizable, and it's a good idea to customize it with the tools that you use most frequently. Well, once I've got this toolkit done, and I've got it where I want it, and I have those tools available to me, the next thing that I can do is I can actually start using AJAX tools. Now, AJAX, Asynchronous, JavaScript, and XML, what it allows you to do is post back sections of a page, not an entire page. And it may not seem like a whole lot, but it opens up a lot of capability and a lot of interesting things that you can do with this. Well, to do this, to actually use the AJAX tools, I actually have to use the extensions first. If you're going to use any AJAX tools on a web page, you have to have a script manager on that page. Now, a script manager actually manages the JavaScripts that are behind the scenes and doing everything here. When you drop a script manager into here, it's going to automatically put the script manager in. That will allow you to go ahead and now take the tools from the toolbox, any of these tools, and the tools that I'm going to show today is going to be the tab container. It allows you to nicely drop this tab panel, the tab container in, and allow me to put tab panels on top of that. So, but the scripting that I need to do would not be available to me if I didn't throw a script manager up there, because a lot of the action occurs in JavaScript behind the scenes. Once you do this, you can now drop these different AJAX tools on there, and there's a lot of really nice AJAX tools and capabilities there. In this case, I want to do a tab. So I want to do some tabbing, and I throw a tab container. And once I throw a tab container up, I can actually now put tab panels on top of that. And each tab panel can have a header and a content template here. And inside of this content template, I actually put in a user control that I built. Now, one of the things that I do when I'm designing fairly complex user controls is I'll create a page in my solution that I actually do. I create the user control inside of a web page, which makes it nice, not as a user control, but actually as a web page, because user controls can very much be web pages. I put in all the buttons that I need, I throw in all the controls that I need onto that page, and I do that on a page. Then I simply copy the page, like for example this, I did all this, I'm going to show, in fact I'll show this first by going into here so you can see what I have. And if you've watched a lot of my videos, you'll notice that this is actually from an existing video. Okay, I'm going to hit the debug on the not on the user control, but I'm actually going to go to my tabbed dialog here. and I'm going to run it from here so you can, that's a little quicker. I'll start the debugging there. I don't have any security setups. Now if you look over at this, I have two tabs that I've created, and this tab is actually some stuff from a previous from a previous page that I created, and I just copied the code in the ASPX file and the code behind onto a user control, and then I took that user control and I actually put that inside of the content template of one of my tab panels. So I can actually have a fully functioning page that I had created, test it as a page, and then turn into a user control and then put inside of a tab. Big advantage of that being now that I can, if I have many related pages that I want to put together, doing that as a tab is very nice and nice to be able to do. So let me show you some of the little tricks of how I made that happen here. Okay, first I created this mechanism of injury page, ASPX page, and a mechanism of injury code behind it, did all the artwork in the code behind. I also created a UC, a user control mechanism of injury, and a user control, so it has an ASCX page and an a C# page, and I just copied the code from each of the pages that were in the page over to these user controls. Then in the tabbed entry piece, I registered the user control up here, okay, which if you watch on user controls how to do that, it's fairly simple, and I dropped the user control inside of this content template. And now I've got that wholly functioning thing right there inside of a tab control. Now, one of the advantages, or the big advantage of that is if you have related pages, it's obviously a big advantage, but what if there's common session variables that you need to be able to access from all these multiple pages? Well, the beauty is that in the code behind for the page, the tabbed entry page that you made, you can put these up into here as accessible variables, and they're accessible from each of the individual tabs, okay, which really can make your life easy if you're using, let's say, the same ID with multiple pieces that go for a single form entry. So just a little bit of help in getting started in AJAX and seeing a tab control. It's not very difficult to do, and hopefully you'll be able to get started with it. Thanks. Bye.